Say the line!
Kaiser. Rwby is bad.
This is a national security alert. Grab music, flip mode, aftermath.
Yeah, I know how I said in the last video that I was gonna follow up on Kingdom Hearts Recoded, but honestly, I just have this itch, you know? I get withdrawals when I'm not bullying Rwby every 5 minutes or so. Hey, doctor said it, not me. See, it says it in the paper, right? Besides, like all great pieces of fiction, seriously, thanks everyone who gave so much love to my very first video, it really means a lot. I think it's about time you guys have a sequel. I was planning on having this release around Valentine's to, you know, make it more appropriate, but stuff happened. So yeah, you know what? Without further delay, I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off and give it to you straight here, people. Ren and Nora is a dumpster fire. They suck individually, and they suck even harder together. Which is impressive because their relationship lasted quicker than me and Ben editing this video. And given how beloved these two were by a majority of watchers and how simplistic their characters are, you guys are probably wondering, Kaiser, how in the name of Zero's green tits did they manage to fuck this up? Hold my beer. The first stretch of the volumes are definitely them at their best. Nora and Ren's straight man, hyper whammon comedy duo makes up the bulk of the best jokes in the early volumes. I mean, it's no George Carlin or anything, but when I look back at these scenes, this reminds me of times when the show had some semblance of comedic timing. Guess Miles and Carrie's ore is running low on that front, but I'm a fair man, so here's a highlight reel of some of my favorite jokes.
Ooh, we should come up with some sort of plan to make sure we end up on the same team together. What if we bribe that master? No, that won't work. He has a school. I know! We'll have some sort of signal, like a distress signal. A secret signal so we can find each other in the forest. Can you imitate a sloth?
Nora,
Yes, Ren?
I don't think sloths make a lot of noise.
Holy shit, you fucking killed her, dude!
That's why it's perfect! Now we'll suspect we're working together.
By the way, this was their very, very first appearance in the show. Yeah, it came out good, didn't it? And it's due in no small part to Samantha Ireland, Monty, and later Neethum pulling way, way above their weight. It's not as fun now, but damn was it fun back then.
There we were, in the middle of the night.
It was day.
We were surrounded by Ursai.
They were Beowulfs.
Dozens of them!
2 of them.
But they were no match. And in the end, Ren and I took them down and made a boatload of Lien selling Ursa's skin rugs.
She's been having this recurring dream for nearly a month now.
Nora's right. You can't let your concern for Yang hold you back. You need to focus. You'll be defending the honor of Beacon Academy. A blend of herbs and vegetables is filled with nutrients vital to your body's well-being.
Oh, that's...
Please, there's no need to thank me. Algae contains numerous spectacular properties. See for yourself.
What is wrong with you? Oh.
Me? You're the one that wasted perfectly good juice.
Again, they're not genius, but they at least get a chuckle out of me. Now, here's the rub. On its own, Ren and Nora's contributions are mostly fine given the scope of the series that it had before. It's a dumb fun action show, so it's gonna do dumb fun action things. But with the paradigm shift in Volume 3 and the plot and characters taking center stage, the cracks in this pairing begin to show like your parents' midlife crisis. Basically, the early volumes, while being fun and having iconic moments, barely did a good job at setting up the plot elements and character motivations necessary to make later scenes work. The only benefit Ren and Nora have is that they are the only ones out of the cast that have actually interacted with other characters aside from their pairings. You know, if you count yelling jokes and exposition at them, I guess. And admittedly, in Volume 2, Nora actually did contribute to Pyrrha figuring out her feelings toward Jean. As poorly established as that was. But by and large though, back then, Ren and Nora were mostly the two-man laughing track and extra bodies to fight. But they don't really contribute much to other characters' development or were all that fleshed out themselves. Again, typical side character stuff, and to be fair, this show has the budget of a McDonald's double cheeseburger. So, with so many characters to follow, it's fitting that these two be stuck with playing static duty. You can develop or flesh them out later, but at that point, you would need to pull so much above your weight to compensate. Because, like it or not, people, 3 years without doing anything in terms of characterization is not something you can just think your way out of. Even some of the best writers can't do it. And speaking of which... So there's not much about this volume that you really need to know too much in order to get my stance on it here. They give Ren and Nora a short arc in the last part of the volume, giving us their backstory, which officially makes them pass the Naruto test of how to write a character. And also kinda sorta got them together, but we'll get to that in a minute. But some of the pieces just straight up don't add up. Like, okay, Ren was living in a small village in Mistral along with Nora, who was a street urchin prior to a grim attack that destroyed not only the village, but also Ren's entire family. Get it, got it, good. But I have, like, several questions. Why was Ren's knife, his one and only memento of his entire family, something that just never came up in the earlier volumes? Don't even get me started on Ren's semblance, which probably would have been very useful before this. It basically makes the characters invisible to Grimm. And speaking of the Grimm, how come this didn't breed some kind of hidden resentment for the Grimm in general? You know, aside from the one that killed his family and wasn't taken out by any pro-huntsman in almost a decade before he ran into it by complete accident. Fuck it, whatever. And that's not even touching the potential for this backstory to influence their behaviors. Ren and Nora know firsthand the harm the Grimm can cause earlier than probably most characters in the entire series. This could drive both of them, but Ren especially, given how serious he is, to improve even more and become a better huntsman. Ren could have had a cutthroat, hidden, ferocious side to him when it comes to fighting the Grimm that doesn't really match his Zen master shtick, possibly fueled by the loss of his family, making him insecure. And Nora can be aware of this side of him and may even share in that fury, but doesn't want to address it much since so much could be changed if she did that, either out of fear or maybe even her own insecurity. And that's not even getting into the fact that these two know each other for basically most of each other's lives and how they've always looked after each other, complementing each other's strengths and weaknesses. There's so much that you could do with this, but hey, now as they are officially characters and a couple at that, this is a great opportunity to focus on fleshing them out and going through a journey past their trauma, and it's gone.
What? What do you mean it's gone?
It's gone.
There has to be more, right?
I mean, there is in volume 7 and 8.
What? What about 5 and 6?
It's gone.
What? I've been blue ball for 3 years?
Welcome to the fandom, buddy. Yep, volume 5 happens and nothing changes. Hi, Renor fans. My name's Kaiser. Nice talking to you. How you feeling right now? These two finally got together after 4 years. And they did jack with any of it. The crazy part is that for most of this season in particular, the cast is just sitting around, literally waiting for the plot to give them a phone call. It's no wonder that it was super hard to realize that they have gotten closer at all for most people, because they didn't get any focus at all. Like any married couple, they held hands, they kissed, they banged, and they never speak about it ever again. The only thing that's changed is that Ren gives some of the worst exposition in the entire show, beatboxing everyone's supposed character growth, and Nora now has the comedic timing of the average Rick and Morty fan. I should know, I'm one of them.
Oh! Raven? Crow? They're birds! Cracked it!
In the undertow, just caught the undertow.
And in volume Volume 6, they don't even have the decency to be good for that either. First half of the volume, non-existent. Second half, they're just standing around and chewing things a bunch of times. All the existential dread from learning the origins of the world, Salem's immortality, and that Ozpin quote-unquote lied to them. Oh, that's not important. What about fleshing out their trauma over the loss of Pyrrha instead of making only Jean whine about it for 10 minutes? Well, slow down there, partner. You sound like one of them filthy nitpicks. No. What's the important thing? Is Nora confirmed they are an item 2 episodes away from the finale.
Get back here with my man!
You can take yourself out of this existential nightmare!
So before we move on, class, let's review our notes real quick. Ren and Nora are not characters. They're the writer's script and Arthur Fleck's comedy journal with anime figurines attached to them, that are attached to each other like Siamese twins. On top of their shtick not being funny since the year of our Lord 2015, they don't really have individual characters or unique interactions with others. And they always have to be together, which limits what they can conceivably do with them. All of these opportunities for their character growth I stated before, or even to make them more endearing, just get wasted, and yet they soak up so much booping screen time and they give nothing back. And even with the pre-packaged deal of them being set up to become a couple from the outset, the writers just
kind of forgot
to do anything meaningful with that for 2 whole years. You take out the "my man" line and you change nothing. Hell, you take out their development in Volume 4 and you only get a mild inconvenience for these characters. And trust me, when your plotline is more pointless than Weiss's, that's saying a lot. Actually, now that I think about it, these geniuses made Rwby, their main character, fresh out of all the heartache and trauma from the fall of Beacon, come away from Volume 4 without getting any fleshing out or meaningful changes to her character, just to give these two fucknuts an arc, and they came up with squat! And that's why they did it again. It's like giving her character development. It's just like they're fucking kryptonite for some reason. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's do another round of recapping Volume 7. The main heroes go to Atlas to meet up with Ironwood to protect the Relic of Knowledge, and then don't really do anything to let him protect it. For poorly explored reasons, Rwby and the rest by proxy just don't want to trust the man who's helped him time and time again, despite literally telling them A to the Japanese kanji for peanuts about his plan to stop Salem. So, for most of the volume, they stick with James to help with his plan to turn this flowing coliseum into a radio tower to unite the world against
The huge bitch!
Oh, also, remember when I said this? After all that, and a political subplot not worth mentioning. Yeah, I gotta mention it here. Don't worry, I'll be gentle. So, Weiss's shithead dad, Jacques, is trying to run for a seat in the Atlas Council, their government, basically, and is fighting against Robin Hill.
That stank bitch!
A huntress advocating for the better treatment of Mantle and the lower class. Nora, throughout the plot line, has been voicing her sympathies towards Mantle's people. In fact, she was the only person who's been doing that because the rest of the cast don't really give a shit. Which is understandable since this plot line was, say it with me now, a bunch of bullshit. She's even going to bat for Robin's position even when she starts stealing resources from Ironwood that would help him complete his plan. Now, in theory, I actually like this idea. It makes sense at least for Nora to have these views on the whole issue given her past as an orphan. Being right above the downtrodden would rub anyone in that position the wrong way, especially since she's been spending a few weeks there. Which is weird how she didn't stand up to the racism happening in her own school, but it's Volume 1, fuck it, no one cares. Let's also forget that she's defending a chick who just the other day may have harmed Rwby and Penny just to do the stupidest ambush in history. Oh, and then there's this line.
I am so sick of secrets. If we just told everyone about Amity, about Salem.
Yeah, you tell him, Nora, because you totally have not been lying to this motherfucker for almost a month about what happened to his mentor or the immortality of his worst enemy. In fact, you know what would be some real head-ass shit? If you never bring up keeping secrets ever again or argue with Rwby about it. That would be fucking silly! Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, like I thought. Sorry, guys. I think I pressed my sarcasm button by accident. This shit is fucking stupid! Ren had even less to do during this whole ordeal, mostly being vaguely pissy and distant since they have gotten to Atlas, focusing on their missions and training harder than before. This would make sense for a character as serious as he is, especially given Ren's backstory. He comes off as a guy that, though values people, tries to view things as pragmatically as possible, which leads him to be emotionally detached. He carries a lot of responsibility, and this causes him to be very afraid. He recedes into himself and whatever he can immediately handle, which is why he latches on to Ironwood's authority. It's no wonder these two characters' journeys weirdly kind of intentionally or unintentionally mirror each other a hell of a lot. This sparks much conflict with Nora throughout the volume, who wants to go full on with the relationship and wants Ren on her side in regards to the politics in Atlas, but Ren's so cautious and stuck in his own head that he's not willing to reciprocate. I like the idea on both fronts here. But then the rest of the volume happened, and I remembered that hope
Was a fucking lie.
on top of it being poorly fleshed out in my opinion, none of this ends up mattering at all because Ren and Nora didn't even do anything with their established grievances. Despite being the most vocal about her grievances towards Ironwood, Nora isn't the one to go behind his back and tell Robin about Amity. It was Dumblebee. I repeat, they spent the last 3 episodes setting up how Nora does not like Ironwood's measures, and even have the nerve to give her an admittedly alright scene of her debating with him, and then had the double nerve to have Blake and Yang lampoon a role that she was more fit to do in the very next scene. Remember when they showed any interest in the whole situation, Robin and Mantle, before? If your answer is yes, which timeline are you from, and can you please take me with you? In fact, I'd also like to join the timeline where Ren's whole yes sir to Ironwood didn't stop at the corner of Jack and shit. They made it seem like it would produce a source of conflict for Ren and Nora, which would be all the more crushing since they just confirmed their relationship prior. But they don't really do anything with it. And neither of them even confront Ironwood in the finale, because we gotta give that to Team Rwby too. Meanwhile, they're stuck in this dumb, slow-ass fight with Neo, who's stealing the relic, a plotline they have much less personal stake in. The only good part was when Neo pretended to be Nora for a moment, leaving Ren being unable to stop her, thus losing the relic. It's a natural progression of his arc, as it makes it much more clear that he is struggling to find a balance between his attachments and what he thinks is right. Pure visual storytelling, a diamond in the rough by this show's fucking standards, and that's all we get. This is a blatant misuse of priorities, and honestly nothing new for Rwby. Time after time after time, plot lines that should have been given to characters with much more fleshed out setup just get taken away in favor of other characters, usually the main ones that are just way less relevant to them. And to best illustrate this, I'm gonna bring in a special guest of mine, because if I don't, I'll be repeating what Twins Inc. said in her own video on this topic. Go ahead and check it out. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most esteemed guest to appear on this channel yet.
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout. In the name Boy Scouts.
Hi, I'm Ben Shapiro. And to help my good friend Kaiser Shonen and uphold moral Christian values, let me give you all an example. We all know the Naruto versus Pain fight, right? Great fight, great storytelling. It was basically Naruto fighting an anarchist liberal. Yeah, I know, oxymoron, of course. But point is, it was fantastic. So, let's say, hypothetically, Instead of the story happening as is, with Pain killing Jiraiya, Naruto's mentor, killed and maimed many of his friends, his entire village destroyed in ruins. And right when they are about to fight in that crater of Konoha and are about to face off, it's gonna be intense. What's gonna happen? Well, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. The left got a hold of the Naruto versus Pain fight. And what they did was that instead of Naruto fighting Pain, it would be Choji, the fat kid, right? Because we gotta have that overweight representation too now, okay? This is what the left would do with that story. Let's be honest. So, Choji is fighting Pain now. Choji just curb stomps Pain after having practically not all that much motivation to do so as Naruto. He wasn't established with having any sort of meaningful connection to Pain. He didn't have any of the character development, any of the people that he lost given as much weight as Jiraiya being killed by him. He doesn't even allow Naruto to have the Takno Jutsu after he beats Pain up, okay? He just rolls all over him. He sits on them with no effort. Because Choji, the woke left's diverse icon, saves the day for no reason at all. It's so ludicrous that I'm afraid that by uttering this to you all is just gonna give those radicals ideas because they are damn sure running out of their own. With all this in mind, my dear viewers, I ask you, would that or would that not piss you off? Would that or would that not give you the dry-ass P word? Like my wife, when she sees me with my shirt off, with facts don't care about your feelings on my pajamas. Think about that. Not me naked, of course. That's not Christian at all. I mean the scenario I just laid down with facts and logic. So, with this, my dear viewers, I regret to inform you that Rwby is indeed not good. Thank you for having me. I'm Ben Shapiro. Sasuga indeed, Mr. Shapiro. Couldn't have said it better myself. But for the peeps in the back, let me break it down to brass tacks. My point is that if you establish a character's motivation to a particular plot point, only to have another character who had nothing to do with it hijack said development, leaving the former character out to dry like a prom night dumpster baby, that would be what we in the epic gamer business call fucking brainworms. But hey, leave it up to Rooster Teeth to forget basic setup and payoff. And this narrative case of dementia extends to Ren and Nora's relationship. Let me remind you that this volume was the first to do anything interesting or meaningful with this pairing in the 2 years since they allegedly got together. And to make matters worse, their relationship just went 50 shades darker, throwing them into immense drama that shakes the foundations of these two people who've known each other forever. Not to say you can't make them go through stuff like this immediately. I completely expected that. But what I can't stand is half-massing it. Particularly by not even showing what's to be lost here. If you want the drama to work, you need to either make it super well written, or show how they were as a couple before the CW plot twist happens. Or both, like they were trying to do. Oh well, Kaiser, you're just spoiled because you rewatched Spice and Wolf. And yeah, but come on, at least do 1% of that and we'd be good. Or at the very least, just make the finale a little bit better, get Ren and Nora a bit more involved. Honestly, it wouldn't even be that hard to fix either. In the finale, they could have at least just switched out one of the heroes in the Aesop's fight for Nora. But who would we pick? Actually, yeah, they even works on two fronts, because now in the Neo fight, we can have a short rematch between Yang and Neo, as well as have the former team up with people she barely interacts with. Wow, 2 fixes for the price of 1. It wouldn't fix how bad the fight is, and how bad their character are, because I totally didn't go at length about that before, but trust me on this. I'm a YouTuber, not a miracle worker, people. And we're gonna need a miracle to get through one last volume. Next video.
What did you say, Nick?